p.m. East African Standard Time. I want to welcome you to the show once again, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, it's the lifestyle show. Like I told you, I have an amazing person in studio with me, and basically the ebitiibwa bingi nnyo simanyi wange natandikirawa naye nga he's one person that has actually inspired me from way back. He actually doesn't know that he inspired me because at one time, you know, some of these public figures, you need to give them space before you may get in touch with them, you know. Obamuko kagapu naye ngo balingirako from a distance. But then he is a content creator. He's one of those people that I can authoritatively say he is a father, a good loving father. He has an amazing daughter I've always checked out on social media. And he is that person who has contributed much in the music industry. And when I talk about music industry, I'm talking about the general music industry of Uganda, both gospel and the other side. And he's that stakeholder. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do some introductions officially because the main man is in the studio. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm so glad to be here. It's my first time on Spirit FM. I don't know why nobody has invited me before for a radio station that is celebrating 20 years.
I know.
And I'm celebrating 10 in the industry.
Oh, yeah. Man.
But I'm so glad to be here. My name is James Propa JP. Yeah, you've said it all. Yeah, you've said it all.
Okay, let's it's a lifestyle show and we basically catch up on a lot of things, including someone's lifestyle, like in large. So before we can dig deep into the topic we are going to be discussing today, I'd love to basically catch up with you about you know, family. Tell us more about family because you have that amazing daughter. Whose baby mama I've not seen though.
I actually have a daughter and a son.
Yes.
My daughter is 5 years old, five and a half. She's making 6 in December. My son is 1 year old. The baby mama, the reason why I don't post her is, you see, it's good to keep some privacy to yourself.
I know.
You know, Ugandans by name, it will end in tears. So if you don't want people to say it will end in tears, so you keep her away from the limelight. But also, I feel there are parts of my life that should be, you know, just left to me as a person. There are so many people that come onto social media, they follow you, but you really do not know them. They really have no idea about you, and they'll start. You know, you just don't have to put everything that you have out there. It's like, I don't believe in things like sharing pictures of your home, address. You know, recently I saw a guy who posted something, he's American, he posted his address and said, if you want to kill me, find me here. And in the next 20 minutes, I think he was a rapper or something, in the next 20 minutes, they killed him.
The guy was killed.
Yes, so that's why I always prefer to just keep a few things to myself. Being a father is one thing that has really changed the way I see life, my approach to life, the way I work, you know, being focused, being strategic in every decision I make. Also just waking up and saying, hey, I need to go to work. For example, now, some of the companies that I work for, they have a benefit of you can work from home. And you know how lazy you can get if you're working from home. But when you look at your daughter, you're like, hey, I need to get out and work. Yeah, but it's been an amazing journey. There is nothing that satisfies more than seeing your children grow up. This morning when I was saying bye to them, I realized how tall my daughter has grown. She's almost half my height.
I know.
And I'm like,
so you didn't have to bend so much to hug the daughter.
Exactly. So but it's an amazing journey. I don't know why anybody can run away from parenthood. I mean, it has to be managed. You just don't give birth like 100 children or 20 children, because that's the kind of life that most of the people that are in the entertainment industry live.
Very true.
But I feel you always need to give the best to every child that you have. It doesn't make sense for you to start having children on every village in Kampala. You have a child in Nasa, now you have a child in
Yes, proper. Righteous eating. I don't want to mention names, but then the names that I know that you're literally talking about in the background. But I love the family bit of it, and you know, it's always a good thing to catch up with someone who loves family and actually be there for the family. Just talk about work and the companies that you work for. Are you one person that has made sure that the music in Uganda, people so much focus on the music business, the music industry? you've done a lot with the distribution companies. You're working with Tidal. Briefly tell us more about this before we can engage into the big topic of the day.
I think to really understand where I am with my work, you need to understand where I come from. I started out my work as a teacher. I was a teacher during my secondary vacation. So when I joined campus first year,
Student teacher.
Yes, student teacher sort of. When I joined campus first year, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. Then an opportunity came in. I went to Radio Dembe FM. Fast forward, I left the radio station, and then an opportunity came up that got me into a distribution company called Content Connect Africa. So while doing that job, mainly we were focusing on colourback tunes. I realized actually we are uninformed as a country, and our music has no direction. So that's why I started to fight and come out to teach. That's why I told you how I was a teacher, because it all just plugs in. As a teacher, as a person who loved music, as a person who saw a gap, I decided to come out and fill that void. Talk to the artists, ask them to get their music on digital platforms. Create more sustainable incomes. With COVID, when COVID came and artists could not perform, that is when they started actually realizing how important what I was telling them was. So they started following what I say. They started getting their music on digital and getting more organized. So this just, I think for me it was the spark of just seeing that gap that got me into the sense of pushing Ugandan artists to get their music on digital platforms. I'm a person who loves information. That's why I'm not just locked into just the music. I also see that we have, for example, not used our names, or the artists have not used their names to the maximum. For example, you're an MC, you're a radio presenter, TV presenter, but beyond just coming on stage, coming on radio, to take away the stress, entertain us, what else can you do with your voice? So for me, my life has been moving in that direction. I feel now that when it comes to digital and digitalizing the country, we are somewhere now. Every artist releases a song, gospel or not, and the song is everywhere. They know what to do. Now, what I want to focus on in my career is, of course, continue doing whatever I do, but also bridge that gap. Make sure that if Dev MC has people following him, how can he actually use that name, that voice, to actually speak about the social issues that are in our community? Today there is a lot of injustice. You see, like every week they arrest women that are beating up children. But is anybody coming out to talk about such issues? And with all the influence that we have, with all this airtime that we have,
and the numbers,
yes,
and the millions listening to you,
is anybody coming out to speak about these things? There are lots of areas that have injustices, some of which I just can't even say on radio because they'll come for me. But if you
Propa, now we know about you.
I have a family.
I know.
Yeah, so so basically now my life is moving into that direction.
Propa, thank you so much for that good submission. Really, it's such a rich one. Yeah. Now, basing on what you just said, away from the music journalism that you do, away from the networking that you do when it comes to social media, because you're an IT expert as well. People just probably you didn't tell them, but I know that.
That's why I'm doing digital music.
Yeah,
it doesn't come from.
There's something that you have of late focused on, and it is going to lead us into the discussion today.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of issues around coexistence or human coexistence with nature. How people or how can society live with nature without misusing nature. And it is one thing that I feel like we can talk about right now. In case you are listening in, just go straight to our social media platforms. That's 96.6 Spirit FM. We have posted the question and we're asking how best can people live or can society live with environment without misuse, or how can someone live without misusing the environment. I'm talking about a healthy living whereby the environment is in proper shape and the person is in proper shape. And that is what is going to be the discussion today. Just Propa, you are one of the people that I believe are part of the Youth Biodiversity Network. First of all, tell us about this.
The Global Youth Biodiversity Network is a network of young people, basically between the age of 18 and 35 years. And its core is to get this news about environmental conservation out to the public. But of course, most importantly, you see, everything that we do relies on policy, relies on the laws that the government sets, and some of the laws that we have, for example, in our country, are not just laws that our MPs come to draw. They are laws that come from, let me say, the United Nations perspective.
Okay.
So when it comes to environment, environment is important for every nation, for everybody. So that's why even our policies are not just policies that Uganda will draw. So under the United Nations, there are several programs. There is one called the the United Nations Conference on Climate Change, which is the UNFCCC, Framework Conference on Climate Change, Convention on Climate Change. Then there is the UNCCD, which is basically about desertification. Then there is what I follow, what the Global Youth Biodiversity Network follows, which is called the Convention on Biological Diversity. So under that convention, countries sit. So when countries sit, they come and discuss the different things about environment, game parks, plastic waste, things that are close to us, and make a framework or make laws at the level of UN, which laws are supposed to be ratified. By ratifying, I mean laws that are supposed to be localized. So Uganda localizes, Kenya localizes, America localizes, Canada localizes. So at that point, usually the young people are not listened to. So that's why several young people around 10 years ago decided to, let's create a movement that is going to speak up for the young people. For example, today in Africa, they can create a law that says there is no more burning of charcoal because we want to save the forests. But the question is, how about the young people that are burning charcoal right now? What are they going to do? So basically,
because there's a reason that's why they are burning.
Yes, there is a reason why they are burning the charcoal.
They are cutting down those.
Either they have no information, or they have the information, but it is the only opportunity available. So what we do as the Global Youth Biodiversity Network is represent those voices of young people at that level, the UN level, but also coming back to do the practical work. Each of us using their space. We have, it's basically mainly biologists, scientists, of course media, people like me. I went in because of the media, you know, all walks of life. So what we are saying is, let everybody go out there and then use their space to say something, to do something. Do what you can do, because we believe it starts with you. For example, if people are throwing out plastic bottles in taxis, what can you do in your space? Can you go and do a campaign in the taxi park just to tell people, guys, when you are along Ginger Road, when you throw out this plastic bottle, this is the harm that it causes to nature. So basically, that's like the framework of what Gibbon does. Basically giving out the information and fighting for the youth in the space, both at international and local levels. We have local chapters. For example, in Uganda, we have the Uganda Youth Biodiversity Network. You can follow it on social media. You can actually join it. And other countries, India, Kenya, all these places, we have local chapters, basically to oversee local policy and also the activities that young people are actually doing to conserve nature locally.
Thank you so much. You're going to give us more details about those SDGs, because we need to be informed, and information literacy is one of the things that you are pushing for of this that I know. But I'm also going to engage you after this break about the most recently evictions from the water catchment areas in Uganda and the whole politics around it. Stick around. Other than that, Star Times has something for you. I'm a miracle coming through from Ada, and of course it brings us to exactly 27 minutes past the top of the hour over 12 midday East African Standard Time. We are still the Lifestyle Show, and in studio with me I still have that person who is not only an entertainer, or actually not an entertainer, but a stakeholder in the entertainment industry, but also someone who has ventured into environment and climate change, biodiversity, everything around the environment, which is for a good cause, because at the end of the day, in case you have the influence in the media and the entertainment, how about if we use those numbers, those figures, that influence to impact society? Because at the end of the day, even the people that you're going to entertain or you're going to speak to, in case you're a TV presenter or radio presenter, they need to live a healthy life. It doesn't make sense when you speak to someone the next day they are dying of floods. Or dying of hunger. We've seen issues in Karamoja. So and it gets me to a particular corner where I want to fix you a little bit, just proper. recently there was a report that came out, and they said, on a rough estimate, we are likely to have more 100 million people added to the current population that we have in the next 15 years as Uganda. But we are talking about a country where we have, in the recent past, we've seen evictions from different places. The most recent being Lubiji. But then I want to remind you about Chinawataka had a full swamp somewhere. Then also somewhere along Gaba Road. I'm not exact of the place, but then somewhere along Gaba Road there was something there.
Yes, I know, just before Bunga.
Yes,
Somewhere
there. And we are no longer seeing those things. And these are water catchment areas. I know there's a lot of politics evolving around you know, stuff of eviction, because the big dogs don't leave the places, but then omuntu wa wansi gwe bajjawo abandi ne batabajjawo. James Propa, when will this come to an end?
I think it goes back to planning. You see, things like swamps are places that are usually owned by the government. I mean, you can, for big swamps, you cannot have like a land title there. So now it becomes like the option for poor people who feel challenged, who feel pushed to the wall. They are the buffer areas they can run to. So we can sustainably use swamps. We can use them sustainably, but we do not need to use them unsustainably or reclaim them or dump soil or stones into them. But we can use them for things like farming that is sustainable in that particular environment.
Like rice?
Rice. Yams, you know, without really disturbing the ecosystem. I think that is what is important. When it comes to people settling in there, I ask myself, what is the ministry in charge of environment doing when these people are setting up these homes and, you know, these
There is a lady who confessed on social media, on TV, that she actually had a land title on that land, and she had 5 kids. So she has been on that land for the last 5-6 years. And then if it's involving a land title, that means particular authorities were involved.
Yes, someone gave them that land title.
And that means government was involved. So
have you heard about the case of Ham and Uganda government, where Ham says he bought land in the lake, in Lake Victoria, but who is selling land in the lake? And you're selling land and not making sure that, okay, we have sold you land in a plot of land in the lake, which should actually not be sold, it should be lease. Because this lake, after some time, we need you to stop your work and then let nature take over again, so that you can have a sustainable future. So, me, I feel the problem is with the policy around land and access, equitable sharing. That some people have too much land, others have very little. When you go to places like Nakasongola, one Geno came and bought our ancestral home there. Yes, from my mother's side, and this is like thousands of hectares. So one person has thousands of hectares that they're actually not using for anything, and there is no settlement there. There is nothing that is happening there. So instead of pushing these people into swamps, why don't we create micro towns where they have factories where they can work, you know, create more opportunities for them, so that they do not have to actually encroach on these swamps. Because the problem with encroaching on those swamps is this water is not going to have anywhere to run to.
Very true.
And at the end of the day, it's going to destroy life for all of us. When there are floods, they are going to affect all of us. If you're coming here at Spirit FM and you're coming, let me say, from Machindi, and there is flooding, trust me, you're not going to be able to pass Queensway, Chibuye roundabout. So you're not going to be able to work, simply because some 10-20 people are sitting in a swamp somewhere. So we really need to think out our policies. We really need to think about our country as the Pearl of Africa, and also hold accountable the people that are given jobs to make sure that they can follow up these wetlands. And then they are letting people to sit there for 10 years. Why? How come? Aren't you surveying these wetlands all the time? when you read a book called the National Biodiversity Strategies and Action Plans, which is the NBSAP, it's called the NBSAP for Uganda, you will see all these tiny wetlands. Even in Kampala, they are marked out. So how do you tell me that someone is coming to settle in a wetland and they stay there for 10 years, and in the office there is someone that is getting a big salary that is supposed to take care of making sure that people are actually not settling in wetlands?
Very true.
So we need to hold these people accountable. And because now this challenges life for all of us, they should be answerable in a way that if it's going to jail, they should have a long sentence so that the rest that are coming into the office can know that this is not something to joke around with. Trust me, environment is one of the most important aspects for all of us to do our jobs effectively, for us to raise our children happily, because
to secure a better generation,
to secure basically a better future for all of us. Trust me, if it got too hot and we don't have rain in Kampala for we have a dry spell for about 3 months, everybody will be crying.
True.
Everybody will be suffering. But now we are destroying the wetlands. Then what do you expect? And someone is in the office seated, eating a lot of money, actually signing off fuel allowances that they are doing surveillance, but in fact they are not.
And making those executive decisions from SCs,
yes,
that have SCs, and they have lost touch with
the reality
that is on ground.
Because also these people, you need a multi-stakeholder approach where the different ministries are working together to ensure that there is no clashing. Because you see, even when we go out there and then start cutting things of 100 people, there is a way it looks weird.
I know.
You're not giving them an option. So our people need to be given options.
And especially you do that, but then you are leaving a farm of a big person.
Exactly.
An industry, there's that liquor industry around Luigi.
Yes.
It was left.
Yes.
And a few homesteads were also burned down.
Trust me, when you take when you go, let me say, along Gulu Road, I think it's around Luero, you'll see over 50 trucks every day with charcoal. All those are forests being destroyed. You get? And there is nobody that is trying to ensure that we can move from unsustainable fuel sources to more sustainable fuel sources. And nobody's talking about this.
There's another interview I was watching that you're doing with someone, and you're talking about even we that actually do the house building and house construction, we are no longer wanting to have trees around our compounds. We are replacing them with pavers.
Because we feel it is too hard to maintain grass. It is too hard to maintain grass. I mean, I'm guilty myself. My son was taken to Green Festival, and
that's 2 weeks back.
Yes, I didn't realize he's not really familiar with grass. So when he saw grass, he was very excited, because at our home it's all paved. I mean, it's not my home, I rent it, so I don't really have power to replace those pavers with grass.
The best the kid can see is a green carpet.
Yes. So when you look at all these things, I think we need to go back and make some of these very, very important aspects of life into mandatory education. Not only mandatory that it stays and remains at just senior 4, but we continue with it. Like when you join campus, the first lecture that you get, CSK 001 or 101, I don't remember very well, communication skills. The entire university does communication skills. But why isn't the entire university doing something about the environment? Yet it is important for everybody.
True.
So we need policies that get these things into our education system. I was chatting with somebody, I think yesterday, but one, and they told me to get around with any policy, one of the most important things that you have to do is to get it into the education system. So people are replacing their grass with pavers because they are not aware,
out of ignorance,
yes, that their impact, their small impact is important. That is why I'm doing these things. I'm doing these talks that even if I have 200 views, I know I've impacted 2 people that are going to impact others, and we're going to have a domino effect after some time. because I believe it starts with me. So it starts with you, Dave. It starts with Sadax. It starts with myself. It starts with Douglas. It starts with Diana. It starts
Diana
with
Nema. She's our content manager here.
it starts with us.
Hey.
Basically, it starts with you, Mr. Keita Nguzu.
Thank you.
It starts with you doing an ad. An ad
Like
about
it, I asked you. My guest is actually conversant with my bosses.
Yes, so
Yeah.
basically that impact. So for example, if Mr. Nguzu came out and said, guys, so everybody that opens the mic, you're supposed to talk about this issue, you know, then all the people that are listening to Spirit FM, they'll start becoming aware. Those that are inquisitive will go to the internet and start searching about it, and before we know it, we are changing a nation.
Yes, Propa. I want to cut it a little bit short. I want us to be a little much more solution oriented. But then before I get there, there's some feedback here on Twitter. We are posted and we're asking how best can society live with environment without misuse. And someone called at let me get this, at Oketerikson says good morning Spirit FM. Okay, I think this one just shouting out to you and sending shout outs to you. Then someone called The Proud Motoro says thank you so much for the show, Dave MC, and of course he says actually I didn't know that James Propa has that side. I only knew him for the music side, and I'm happy and I'm tuned in and I'm forever grateful for the conversation. And please keep on sending that feedback, and we're asking how best can society live without environment misuse. Now we have many impactful groups of people when it comes to society that are actually should be the people that should foster some of these things to be put into place, especially when it comes to solutions. One, I want to start with the side that you are familiar with. I want to group them as artists. This time around, because of Spirit FM, I will say gospel artists and media personalities. Yeah. How best can we do briefly?
How best can we do? I think that's a question of how best can I do. It's not about how best can we do. But I believe the most important thing that we can do is each of us to come out and use our voices. Each of the artists to dedicate some time to, you know, if it's doing a song, if it's doing an outreach. When you do charity, for example, I used to see actually people doing charity where they go and do society cleanups and stuff like that. But then it seems it's no longer happening. So we need to revive some of these things. But the most important thing that I feel all of us as entertainers can do is use our voices, use the numbers. Some of you have 2 million people on social media. If you have a turnaround number of 10%, that's 200,000 people. If you have 2 million people. For gospel artists, I don't know who is the most followed artist. Who do you think is most followed?
You're putting me in a picture.
You should be aware of these things.
But let's say because the person, let's talk about the person who recently gave sponsorship as MT.
Hey, Levikson. Yeah, if Levikson has 800,000 people on social media, on just one channel, Instagram, if he gave out some time and talked about some of these issues, and it doesn't really have to be just environment, all social issues, women and children, HIV/AIDS and health, menstrual health for girls, education, politics, you know, whatever you feel close to your heart, when you speak about it, when you start involving it into your way of life, if you start up a hashtag and push it, like you see how Bobby Wine and his friends are doing with we are removing blah 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 blah. So every post they make, it goes with that hashtag. So every post you make goes with menstrual health. It goes with protect the environment. It goes with save our wetlands. It goes with, so people are going to start getting familiar and start questioning that message that you're putting out.
Because after viewing your song,
yes,
after seeing the music content, they'll definitely get into the hashtag.
Yes, they'll get into the hashtag. So me, I feel the most important thing that we can all do is to use our spaces. Whichever space you have, if you're on radio, use your space as Dev MC
Yeah.
to just speak a little bit. It doesn't really have to take a lot of your time. Just 1 minute.
And I think I've done my part because I brought the expert when it comes to biodiversity and climate change.
So use just your space. Just
Yeah.
that 1 minute.
Sure.
When it comes to
Okay, let's talk about also church, because I believe you are a Christian. James is
I am a Christian.
How best can church also
Something outreach.
At Namrembe Cathedral Diocese did a marathon, but was for building
But you
a
see,
mission.
I'm an Anglican, and one thing I want to criticize about Namrembe Cathedral is these.
Just proper in the. Oh yeah,
No. Sigana criticizing Abubi.
Mhm.
You see, this is the church that grew me.
Yeah.
I am what I am because of the church. Nze nakulira mu church abafeeriye Busaabala, and every Sunday nganze nkube ngoma dududu abantu bajje mu church when it was still a village.
That is good damage control before the
So whatever I'm going to say
What you're going to
is
say.
out of love.
Okay. Yeah.
It is not it, and these are not your words. Era nkuba disclaimer, these are not words of Dev MC, the management of spirit. These are words of James Propa. So one of the things that I feel that every year they send us a theme that we actually put up in church. That is, this year's theme is so and so. Unfortunately, but I see it in church. When I go to church, I see it. So some of these things like conservation,
Yes.
women's issues, education, keeping children in school. You see now with the lockdown, so many kids are not back in school. There should be deliberate effort pushed down to the local churches.
Very true.
To make sure that either you set up a day and say, this Saturday we are doing an outreach in the trading center. Let each church go to one trading center and do an outreach. Even if you have 5 people that are going to speak to the people, send them flyers, send them these materials. But you see, it is very easy for the church, the leadership, to tell us that and your church has to part this much. Not bajja bali serious nti motoka ya million 3 church ya St. John's Church erina okuwaayo emitwalo 5. So if it can be cut down like that to the local churches, now how about the issues that actually affect the way people live, the way people make this money?
That people is directly related to.
Yes, that affect us. Because at the end of the day, without money, we cannot run the church.
And you cannot drive that car in an environment that is flooded.
That is flooded, or where roads are bad, or all these things. And people cannot make money if every week, for example, Kasese right now. Do you think the churches in Kasese are going to make any money this weekend?
Of course not.
They're not going to. People are not going to be able to.
Did you say make money?
I used the wrong word.
That's proper.
Wrong choice of words.
But anyway, it is your friend. So
but my message is simple. My message is simple for churches, for radio stations,
I know.
especially now Christian radio stations like this one. 45 seconds a message where you have all your people to call Christmas messages. Radio, TV, where every presenter comes out and says, "Hey, my name is James Propa. I wish you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hey, my name is James Propa, and I would love to encourage you. When you're done using that plastic bottle, do not throw it on the road. Take it to a dustbin."
So we can also create things like fillers in media.
Exactly. Pre-recorded endorsements.
And some of these men of God actually pay for airtime to preach.
Exactly.
So I feel like they should also apportion a few minutes towards environment.
Me, I feel if we are going to change every space, every opportunity we have to speak about these things that impact people directly.
Just proper final as we end the interview. I come from Ginger.
You come from Ginger.
I'm Soga.
So Ginger, bali basinga kulima ki?
Ebikajjo.
Bife ebikajjo babitaddeyo kati kutta ttaka lyaffe.
Lumonde
ne kasooli.
Yes.
Njagala okikakase nti today people in Ginger cannot grow the same lumonde like they used to 10-15 years ago.
True.
Because abaana batemye emiti for charcoal and firewood. All these things ebituuseewo. So that's why I'm telling you that if, for example, Church of Uganda from Kampala Cathedral eri etwala the entire Uganda, eteekawo, Catholic Church nayo neeteekawo, Islamic section nayo neeteekawo, Anglican section nayo neeteekawo. Guys, this year the social issue that we are working on as the body of God, not just the body of Christ, because I believe there are so many other beliefs and you cannot so as the body of God, what we are focusing on is environment conservation this year. So buli omu taking effort yeyo. If it starts in the church, if it starts with Kabaka ne Buganda, you know, no Kabaka bulala bonna buli mu Uganda, we are going to see a difference. So for me, that is my cry.
Actually, I feel some of these institutions have tried, but we need much more.
Exactly.
We need much more.
No,
than that.
you know why we don't see impact? Because it is not a mega campaign. When MTN is advertising, bundles, they'll make it nationwide. So that is what we learn from marketers. If you're going to do a campaign that you want to take over Uganda,
it won't be a regional.
Bosiko Manawa City, make it national. Mukera kumachanga branding ye na yachuse. So if we are going to do these things, abantu abanji, churches ne religions nachi. Churches it is good because they actually have radio stations and TV stations.
And they have the numbers.
Let's come out and say 2023. Let's all focus on plastic waste. You get? So once we have that campaign that engulfs all of us, we do mini marathons on the same day. Timuchachi ya mwemuduke kilometer satu. You know, speaking about plastic waste. We are going to see impact. Na problem eriwo Spirit FM egenda kola ya marathon yayo, okiraba owagundi alemekola. Owagundi akole atowa Spirit tamo support. Owagundi tagenda kujamu ya Spirit. Naulira ba pastor abamu. We shall have that conversation another day. Naulira no naulira anti the Vixoni bwaba yimbira mweno church takizi wategenda mundala. So this kind of, I don't want to use bad words on a Christian radio station, but this kind of,
there's a lot of politics.
Yes, it doesn't help us to grow as a nation. So I believe we have to change. We have to do things, come together, not just to go and meet the president, but sometimes just to meet and talk about the things. But was sent.
You remind me of those talk shows on TV that you be on and you feel like you're going to flex someone. One, as we wind up this particular one, I would want to know what is your favorite gospel artist, local and international?
Local, surprisingly, this is what I think. There is one artist that I believe is the biggest artist Uganda has ever had, and she's a gospel artist. Her music plays at funerals. Her music plays at weddings. Her music plays when you're down. Her music plays when you just want to appreciate your dad. Her music plays for any occasion. And that's Judith Babiri.
Wow.
So for me, she's the best gospel artist that has ever happened to Uganda. She's the biggest artist. An artist that will never be forgotten. Her music will be written in the hymn books in the next 100 years. Or even not 100. Because when she dies, we need 50 years for the music to become copyright or so that it can be free use. So, in the next 100 years, because if we say she has another 80 years to live, maybe end at least about copyright or whatever. But in the next 100 years, her music will be in hymn books. So, Judith Babiri is my biggest Ugandan gospel artist. Internationally, but that Nigerian woman. No.
Sinach? Masichino?
Masichino. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, she's I love her energy. I love her voice. I basically just love her energy. Yeah, so she's amazing. Then maybe also internationally, international. Don Moen. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. What's your favorite Bible verse? And what it says.
I just me angry.
No come up fingertips.
I love Psalm 23. One, because it's simple, it's direct. There is a reason why it's very famous. You get. So whereby you know that everything that you have it is not by your power. It is because the Lord leads your way. Yeah, so for me, for now, jengendo kujayo, but I have others just that baby.
Okay, lastly, I would want to know your last remarks, like basically how can people actually get more of this content that you push? How can people access you personally? There's an avenue I used to access you, but how can people get you?
Yeah. First of all, like I said, I'm focused on arts, music, media, and how they can relate into the environment sector, and that is the kind of content that I'm working on right now. You can follow me. You can go to YouTube and search my name, James Propa. James Mwenamulimanyi, but Propa is Propa. There you can find me. Then all social networks, you just put in James Propa. James, you know the name. Propa is Propa. And my Twitter, it is at James Propa. Instagram at James Propa. Facebook at official James Propa, but when you put in and search James Propa, you can find me. And me, I'm very open to people. If you have a question, if you feel there is a way we can work together, if there is a partnership or anything, you want me to come and give a talk to your community or whatever, or radio station or whatever, I'm very open. You can reach me, you can inbox me. I'll not give out my number, but for example, when you go to my Facebook page, you'll see my number. You can text me on WhatsApp. But yeah, you
thank you for being such an approachable person.
I mean,
that's one thing that
Dave,
really
these things that we have,
yeah.
And this is what I want to give out to all young people, whichever sector you're in. You're not there by your might or power. You're there by the grace of God.
True.
So, being there by the grace of God, you're there to inspire before you expire. This is a word I had when I was still at Mengo SS, when Mr. Bakamale was our HM. He came first day, we were in senior one, he said, my goal is to inspire before I expire. And those words still resonate with me. So if you're not approachable, it means you want to expire with your information. Yet, when you die, for example, when you look at them, information you cannot pull it out of them at that point. So we have to give out this information to the world when we are still here. Me, I'm inspired by Dev because he did ABCDE. Yeah, so I don't know why people just feel so big for nothing. They're feeling big.
Alright, just Propa, thank you so much for being a part of the show. Thank you so much for coming through, and thank you so much for managing the time.
Thank you,
really so much. Thank you, and man, it's been an amazing. This is Masachino Chinadu coming in from Masachino, and of course a favorite by
No, what wakaimba Kayimba ne Joyous Praise babaita batya. Anyway,
I'll look for that. I'll look for that. Okay, thank you so much, and stick around for more. Sure. We still have more in the request hour that is coming.